AVC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. This is just kind of a next what's been spinning video. This is a video where I'm not showing any new stuff or anything like that. It's just kind of over the past few days or week or whatever it's been. This is just what I've been diving into my collection, pulling out and spinning. So let's just kind of jump right into it. First one here, which is an awesome one. Again, album you guys know inside and out, Black Sabbath, Mob Rules. I was driving home the other day, had the XM radio on, and they played the song Voodoo, and it just kind of made me think, man, like, listen to Tony riffing on that one. I need to go home and give that a spin. So, always just a fantastic album to revisit because it's Dido and Black Sabbath. I mean, come on. Awesome stuff. Next here, we have my girl, Laura Branigan. One of my favorites from the 80s here. This is from 84? Yeah, 1984. Of course, she's probably most well known for her big hit Gloria, which is, was a big hit. But this is definitely my favorite album by her and has my two favorite songs, which is The Lucky One and Self Control. Love those songs to death, and just hearing them just really represents the coolness about the 80s to me, or one of the cool things about the 80s to me. And the other thing I like about it that really makes it so 80s is that especially on those two songs, the background singers that she has on this song are like all male background singers. And just kind of the way that they're used in the songs, it's just so 80s, and I freaking love it. Especially the song Self-Control. It's like almost like listening to the background singers as much as I like listening to her on that track. But fantastic. I think she died a number of years ago with breast cancer or something like that, which is always horrible. People having to fight against that crap. Hopefully one day we'll get it licked. Next here we have Frankie Miller Band, and this is The Rock, and this is his release from 1975. If you're not familiar with this, it's kind of a country rock. Maybe a song or two here. It's almost a folky rock, but definitely more on the country rock type of side. But a really great album, especially side 2, which is fantastic. But if you've never heard this album or Frankie Miller, that type of thing, definitely go right to the song Bridgeton. That is just his ultimate track to me, period. And then also the song All My Love to You. Between those two songs, you'll kind of see, in my opinion, what makes Frankie a bad man right there. So definitely check those two out. Gave Little Rolling Stones a spin, and this is Honk, kind of the 2 LP greatest hits. This is kind of a nice album in the sense that I've said, if you're not a gigantic Rolling Stones fan and don't want to, buy all their studio albums and all of that, between buying Hot Rocks, that early 2 LP greatest hits, and this, you'll have a good chunk of all of the Rolling Stones hits. Of course, Hot Rocks is more of their earlier stuff, but here you're getting stuff like Start Me Up, Brown Sugar, Miss You, Love Is Strong, Mixed Emotions, Angie, Beast of Burden, and a bunch of other stuff like that. So really cool 2 LP greatest hits there for the Stones. Little Traffic here, another one I hadn't spun in a while, and I saw the cover when I was flipping through. I was like, let me go back and listen to that. The release from 1970, and probably one I'm gonna purge. I mean, the album is in absolutely fantastic condition and played clean as can be, but I just kind of noticed listening to it all the way through, there was nothing that really kind of excited me too much about going back and listening to it, which is a good sign that, okay, it's probably a good idea to get out of the collection. It's just that anytime I hear Steve Winwood's voice, I automatically think something great is going on because I love Winwood. But yeah, definitely not an album that excited me too much on this spin, so that might start a bit of a purge pile. Oh, and then I kind of went to my little box of goodies and pulled this one out. Much like I was saying with Black Sabbath, I was listening to XM radio one day and the song White Flag came on, and then it made me think, as soon as I get home, I got to spin that Dido because I have not heard that album in a while. And this is her album Life for Rent. Just, beautiful classic record pressing. These are not easy to find at all. but yeah, I mean, again, the entire album is great. She has that unique delivery of her voice. It's just kind of soft and not even silky, but just really soft. It looked like her voice is a soft place to land kind of thing. And you know, songs like White Flag, Stone, Life for Rent, it's just everything is pretty darn good. But my favorite song off of this is actually the hidden track on here, where when you first went out and got this album, you didn't know there was a one extra track on side two, and it's either Closer or Closer You Get. I think it's Closer. Um, that song just makes me melt every time I hear her sing it, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful song, beautiful album, and that was a great revisit. Let's see here next. A little more 80s fun. I spun some Belinda the other day. This is her 1986 release. I think we're kind of right after she left the Go-Go's. And yeah, I mean, just remember the song Mad About You. That was the huge hit off of this. And even just that cover with the purple and the little Belinda written off to the side. Just so perfectly 80s. Gosh, I love that. It's awesome. And then next here we have the Rods. And I don't remember off the top of my head. Is it Dio's cousin or somehow related to Dio? I don't know why I'm forgetting right now, but you can even kind of tell the family resemblance there, right? But this is the Rods, which is actually kind of a remaster version of their album Hard Rocks, I believe, or Rock Hard is what it, yeah, Rock Hard, which came out in 1980. And they kind of on this reissue just redid the cover and remastered it, and it's just called the Rods. But yeah, nice 2 LP on clear vinyl, and just kind of one of those, kind of sounds like it looks, just a kind of a really good hard rock album that you would expect to get from the 1980s. So really, really cool piece there, and that was a kind of a nice revisit on that spin. Eddie Money, Sounds of Money. This is just a golden spin to go to every time. Everything you can want from the Money Man here. You know, Baby Hold On, 2 Tickets to Paradise, I Want to Go Back, Walk on Water, and then my golden track by Eddie, which is Shakin', which is just like straight up Eddie Money rock and roll. I love that song. Take Me Home Tonight, you know, Think I'm in Love. Man, the Money Man, I tell you. I love that album. Love it, love it, love it. Glass Vegas, another one I hadn't spun in quite some time. If you're not familiar with them, the song I recommend checking out is Geraldine. That's definitely my favorite track off of this. I actually discovered them years and years ago. This came out in 2008. You know, when iTunes used to give away one free song, like, you know, it was like a free download that you could have when they, you know, kind of first came out. And the song Geraldine was one that they gave away one week. And I remember getting it and thinking, man, I freaking love that song. It's kind of like I don't know what style you would put it to, but a lot of the stuff on here is where the guitars almost sound like synths, so to speak, but it's kind of an alternative type of thing. Like I said, check out the song Geraldine, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, awesome album. And the great thing about getting this too was when I first heard that, you know, I looked on eBay and stuff like that, and because this is like 2008, 2009, somewhere around there, and it wasn't on vinyl. And I'm in a store one day, and I look on, you know, behind the counter, and there's like 5 of these sitting up there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's finally been released on vinyl. That's awesome. I go over there, it's like, you know, can I take one of those Glass Vegas? Like, how much is it? And the guy's like, oh, that's not for sale. Yeah, those are promos only, and there's giveaways that we have to do with them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've waited this long, and it's sitting right there. And I'm just telling the guy, like, oh man, that's such a great album. It's almost like a tease that it's sitting there. And we had a couple of laughs, and I walked back to the stacks and started looking. And he comes over and goes, here, just go ahead and take it. And I'm like, I see this thing across the room, and I'm ready to run over. And at this time, you know, 2008, 2009 or whatever, I'm ready to drop 25, 30 bucks on this album, which is a nice chunk back then. And like, I want it, give me, and he just gives it to me for free. And I was like, dude, you don't even know how you made my day. Which, as you can see, that's why it has the white promo sticker at the top there. But yeah, great memory, kind of locked in with that album. B-52s, I don't think I have to say much about this. You know, Love Shack, which is, even though it's one of their more popular hits, if you will, still my favorite song by them. Rome, I can't stand as much off of this. That's the one song I kind of skip usually when I'm listening to this album. But yeah, it's just nice to have a group like that just gets back to the fun nature of music. And this is a frequent spin. I don't know how many times a year I spin this album, but it is my favorite Van Halen album. That's right, I said it. It's my favorite Van Halen album because song for song, from start to finish, this album is just freaking awesome. So always giving 5150 a spin. And I'll show these two together because this kind of brought up a very interesting conversation with Billy. You guys know Billy Hurst over at Riverbend Records. We were listening to 5150, and we got into a debate about with the Hagar albums, you know, as far as from the best album to the worst of the Hagar albums, did they actually release them in the right order? Was 5150 number 1, OU812 number 2, was a Carlisle number 3, Balance 4, and then I guess Van Halen 3, we can throw that in there as 5, even though it wasn't Hagar. So then we pretty much agreed on all the placements with the exception of number 2. And, you know, it was like, which one is it Carlisle or is it OU812? And so Billy was saying Carlisle. And so I was sitting there trying to go through the songs in my mind. I'm like, okay, the hits are all clear, but the B-sides, I'm having a hard time like recalling. I was like, fine, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to answer. I said, I'm going to go home tonight and listen to both albums, and then I'll text you in the morning which one I think actually takes place. So I came home that night and I spun both of them back to back. And I would have to say that OU812 is probably going to be my second pick for the Hagar years. I mean, both just have amazing hits and are a fantastic album. I mean, there's a reason why all Hagar's albums went to number 1. And let me just say again, you know, Aaron Mutha Alamere sent me this as VCLT a couple years ago because he knew how bad I wanted it. And to this day, man, I still want to thank you so much for that because this is just a fantastic piece. I mean, beautiful as heck from top to bottom. But yeah, I went with OU812 as being that number 2 after 5150. And I just thought the B-sides were a little more solid, a little more kind of straight up rock, so to speak, because this is the one album, like especially coming off of 5150, where it just had so much synth all up and down it, and they really pulled a lot of that synth out of this album. I think you may get some on When It's Love and Feel So Good, like those two songs, you definitely get some synth in there. But if David Lee Roth had to come over and do a Hagar era album, like this would be the one that he would do most effectively because this is probably the most just straight more rock type of album that they did with Hagar. But I love all of Sammy's stuff. Sammy is just freaking golden. Like, what a vocalist. But anyway, let me kind of move on here. Space Hog. I guess I'm kind of showing this one, even though I kind of just showed this in another video. But yeah, I had to spin this. I hadn't spun it in a while. You know, if you're not familiar with the song In the Meantime, that was definitely the big hit for them off of this album. So make sure you check it out. But just a really, really great release from 1995. And the last two, spun some Waltz the other day, and this is Last Command. And this tends to be the Waltz album that I default to most often because my favorite song by Waltz is probably Wild Child. I mean, it's just one of those songs that just really defines the time for me, you know. So yeah, Last Command, that was a great spin. And last but not least, little Loretta Lynn, You Ain't Woman Enough. Loretta's my girl. I remember as a kid when I saw that movie Coal Miner's Daughter, I fell in love. I mean, of course that was Sissy Spacek, but that made me fall in love with Loretta Lynn like right then. And like every time I saw that movie as a child, it's just I wanted to watch it because I wanted to hear the music. I loved it, and still to this day, you know, Loretta is a bad woman. Although a lot of her albums like this, you should probably file under like gangster country, because the one thing that Loretta seems to do in a lot of different albums across the board is she's always talking about kicking some woman's ass for messing with her man. And you know, whether it's stuff like "You Ain't Woman Enough," or that's not on this album, like even on some of her other albums with songs like Fist City, where she's talking about, you know, you're gonna be meeting my fist if you don't leave my man alone, and all that kind of stuff. It's like, man, Loretta's just straight gangster, country gangster. But yeah, you know, just one of the legends. Love her to death. So that was definitely a good spin as well. So there you go, VC. There's a lot of rambling about just a good chunk of the stuff that I've been spinning over the past week or so. As always, let me know what you think, and we will talk to you soon, guys. All right, take care.